For more on their call for a wage hike, we're now joined by Carlos Miguel Oñate. He's a spokesperson and legislative officer of the Trade Union Congress of the Philippines, or TUCP. Carlos, nice to have you on the show.
Hey, good afternoon, Ron, and good afternoon to all our viewers. Happy Labor Day to us.
Happy Labor Day to us. We have the president saying, we're listening to your call for a wage increase, but we have to carefully study this. How do you feel about that statement?
The call of the TUCP alongside other labor groups, where we had one of our largest mobilization, not only in Metro Manila, but Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, is for the president not to send a marching order to the Regional Wage Board, which we have heard also last year. And yet the Regional Wage Boards is a broken system that only gives token increases and set below poverty threshold wages. Our call on the president is for him to certify as urgent the 200 peso wage hike bill, also authored by the TUCP Party-list, and which has already been approved by the House of Representatives on second reading in February this year. So we only need 6 session days in June in order to finally approve this on third and final reading. And we urge the president to talk to us, the workers, and certify the bill as urgent and not the Regional Wage Board review, which will only give barya-barya increases to us.
Carlos, I'm just going back to that statement, the president's statement as well, that the president still wants to rely on regional wage boards. The TUCP, other labor groups have already called for its abolition. Of course, no word from the government on how they're going to act on that. But is there any middle ground here? Is there any improvement that can be made in the system of reviewing wages through the boards, just so that the administration and the government still holds importance to that wage boards, but still taking priority or giving priority to the calls of workers for a wage increase?
The Regional Wage Board was created way back in 1989 when the Congress legislated the last legislated wage increase. However, since then, TUCP has participated very closely in the Regional Wage Board. We filed petitions, we engaged in deliberations, but almost always the Regional Wage Board only give barya-barya increases with no justification whatsoever why that figure was arrived at. So in 2023, the TUCP Party-list in the House of Representatives filed originally the 150 pesos wage increase. The Senate already approved a 100 peso minimum wage increase in 2024. In 2025, the House of Representatives approved the 200 pesos wage increase. So it's clear now that Congress already acted what has been delegated to the regional wage boards for the last 36 years. This means that Congress, which created the regional wage boards, is now taking over the job of the regional wage boards because, frankly, for us, we do not have any more trust left in the regional wage boards. While other labor groups call for its abolition, we call for its reform. May that be in the form of industrial wage boards or the abolition of the provincial rate, wherein you have Bangsamoro, Mindanao with a minimum wage that is only half of the National Capital Region minimum wage.
So you'd still rather trust Congress with reviewing wage hike petitions rather than the regional wage boards?
Now the congressional route has been taken since 2023. We trust that Congress will pass a minimum wage increase that will not be less than 100 pesos and as much as 200 pesos. The regional wage boards for the past 36 years has never given a wage increase that big. And in fact, last year, when the president also sent a directive to them, they only gave 20 to 50 pesos wage increase per region. And now the result is almost 5 million of our minimum wage earners are poor because they have minimum wages that far below the government set poverty threshold. And these are the things we want to discuss with the president so that the Department of Labor and Employment and the president will not keep on repeating the same old recycled directives to the regional wage boards, which has become an epic failure.
Right. You have been asking for a dialogue with the president. What has been the response of Malacanang to that?
It is unfortunate, and we are also doubting the reason why it already took us more than 10 letters, nearly 20 letters, not only of TUCP and other labor groups, to ask for a dialogue with the president. Previous administrations, such as former President Duterte, met the labor sector 6 times during his term. This president, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., has never met labor halfway already into his term. It has been 3 years already without a single Labor Day dialogue. And that is unfortunate sapagkat beyond yung mga sahod ng ating mga manggagawa, there remains the serious issues of security of tenure that is left unacted by Congress, the issue of employment quality, which job fairs and job facilitation will not fix, but job creation, and as well as the most pressing issue of workers' rights in the country, because the Philippines remains among the 10 worst countries for workers for nearly a decade already.
Finally, Carlos, what's your assessment of how the Marcos administration has taken care of our laborers in the past 3 years of its administration?
We were always asked, how do we rate the Marcos administration in terms of labor and employment, every State of the Nation address, but we kept on answering that it remains incomplete. Without a dialogue with the president, without the certification as urgent of the legislated wage increase, without a clear policy pronouncement on how do we proceed with the security of tenure that was vetoed by former President Duterte, without a clear plan yet with how to implement the Trabajo para sa Bayan Act, which the TUCP authored in order for the Philippines to have a national employment action plan. The Marcos administration's performance in terms of labor and employment unfortunately remains incomplete and wanting, and we hope that we can start we can start addressing these issues front and center with a dialogue, long overdue dialogue between the labor sector and our president.
Carlos Miguel Oñate of the TUCP, thank you very much for talking to us, Carlos.
Thank you very much for having us, and happy Labor Day once again.